Sitting atop their plastic throne in their pink fishbowl castle, a powerhouse of the Nicktoon New Wave era that had struck during the aughts, they rose to prominence due to their clever writing and memorable songs. They were a household name 5 seasons strong. They couldn't be stopped. Then, like the Sixth Ranger, brooding because he just couldn't handle his dark past, they fell silent and left the team, never to be heard from again. And honestly, that was the best thing for them. Most of their initial audience had pretty much grown up or moved on. They were teenagers now, or very near it, so cartoons weren't really an option for them socially. For some, me, I doubled down every day after school, every weekend. My days were sanctioned by TV and the powerhouse Friday night cartoon blocks that were coming out next. Huh. Look at me now. After their time off, they came back stronger than ever with a baby fairy brother for Timmy to mentor, and a special that killed, at least as far as the Nielsen's were concerned. After that, Fop really never was the same. Sorry about that. Doing that voice hurts my throat. See, they really kinda ended, but not really. It was an example of soft canceling. It's a way for a network to hedge its bets, tell the crew that they aren't really sure if they're going to renew the contract and just sit on it. It's always really been a thing, but most of, if not all of the shows that ended in the aughts were really not outright canceled, but were put on indefinite hiatus. But they brought it back 3 years later, and since then they really haven't left. Seasons don't air in a traditional sense or even really a manageable format, but the whole thing was just kind of this big mess of Nick using Fop as one of their true blue golden geese, sort of like a fuel to keep the network going. I mean, I ain't saying they keeping the lights on thanks to Timmy, but I'm sure there are more than a few kids going to college right now on that Fairly Odd scholarship, if you know what I mean. That animation game is a fickle mistress. You got to get while the getting's good, and man, they got off the streets quick. Which brings us now to the currently running season 10, and oh yeah, they tried to add a dog in season 9 and it failed. Everyone hated him and they whitewashed him from history like so many Holocaust deniers. So we really don't talk about him. So let's talk about him. Okay, there was this pattern here. After what we'll call the original run of the show, they decided to add Poof, a baby brother for Timmy to kind of look over and mentor, but really it was just to breathe new life and intrigue into the show and all that jazz. But given another opportunity to try and add a new character to the show, they added a dog. Another opportunity for Timmy to take on a responsibility or a mentorship role. With the newest season, Timmy is now sharing his fairies with one Chloe Carmichael. And of course, being the senior employee here at Big Wand, Timmy was once again written into a role of pseudo-mentorship for his newly found friend. Fairly Odd Parents has had tons of problems over the years, and let's be honest, when you get that old, who wouldn't have a couple of problems performing, if you know what I mean? Talking to the grandparents in the audience. I don't know who that joke was for. The point is, when you're working on something for so long, the writing becomes hollow and transparent most of the time. The formula and the structure for each episode follows a very strict regimen that eventually becomes a relic by modern storytelling standards. And our showrunner had worked on and completed other projects in the process of having to come back to the show he started when he was a completely different person. I have heard a lot of people say that season 10 is by far the worst thing ever created by man, and that Chloe is this embodiment of everything that the show hasn't done right. That she's this Mary Sue and that she's objectively too perfect to need fairies. And why wouldn't she have friends if everyone loves her so much and she's so nice? And that having her around just makes Timmy this selfish.
Chloe's his new neighbor and she's ruining all his plans. All the wishes in the world, so why should he care? Jordan has reported there's a fairy shortage, so Timmy has to share.
Okay, yes, I can't ignore the elephant in the room forever. Yes, this intro is bad. It is totally, utterly bad. Like, last minute science project, all you have is a free period and you have to pull something out of your ass. Bad. And yeah, the pop culture references aren't natural and the jokes tend to be by the numbers low-hanging fruit that don't really resonate with a modern audience, but quite honestly, believe me when I say that Chloe was the best thing to happen to Fairly Odd Parents, like ever, like more than Poof. Like after those first 5 seasons, Chloe is the big deal. Chloe should have had the made-for-TV movie. When they come back from that 3-year lull, it's Chloe. Chloe could have been this lead into making Fairly Odd Parents so much more meaningful and lasting. This bitch right here with her fucking cute little gap that's meant to be the inverse to Timmy Turner's buck-tooth bottom lip butt, and she's so fucking adorable. Oh my god, I just wanna... What were we talking about? Oh yeah, we were fucking Chloe. Let's look at Timmy and Chloe's dynamic. Timmy isn't a selfish asshole. He's become cynical with magic. For so long, he's had to make wishes, and more often than not, they're fucking genie wishes, and they screw him over. But he really likes Cosmo and Wanda because they're bros, and they've become his second family. So he still wants to hang out with them. So now Timmy gets to be this gate guardian in his own lazy way and say, bro, don't wish for that, it's a bad idea. Or like, just be stupid hype over an app. I know the joke sucks, but again, the sentiment is good. Timmy's become well adjusted. These new character dynamics in season 10 reflect that, from Crocker to Darth Laser and all of the other characters that they brought back, to show that Timmy doesn't really view them much as a threat anymore because he sees who they are, because he's known them for long enough. That doesn't really explain why Timmy's dad is a...
Cool candy!
Chloe isn't perfect.
You're not perfect.
She isn't flawless. Her problem is that she's trying to constantly be those things, and while succeeding on a superficial level, it doesn't necessarily mean she's happy or well-adjusted. She's a glorified kiss-ass to her parents' own expectations, and her perfectionism forces her to suffer severe guilt over making a mistake or being flawed. This makes her a different kind of broken, one that's multi-layered and kind of clever, at least from a storytelling perspective. Rather than going for the basic, everyone's mean to the new girl, look how the new girl could really use a leg up, and sure, everyone likes her, because who doesn't like someone who's helpful and a goody two-shoes? She has an unhealthy, insurmountable need to impress her parents and just quiet this voice that sits inside the perfectionist's own mental mind that demands she be better and better and better and non-stop, never being able to rest on her laurels, even for a moment. This makes her a great candidate to learn a more complex form of happiness. And this new Timmy, this lazy gate guardian who's become apathetic to magic, is the perfect candidate to teach her this idea.
Aw, come on! Get a grip, girlfriend! What Chloe did was okay!
That's why the two of them work so well together, ultimately. Why I think they're such a fun duo. Because Timmy isn't just showing a spaz how to have a splash of fun in her life. He's showing her that sometimes it's not worth it. That sometimes the hassle isn't worth the payoff. Showing a perfectionist how to manage apathy is clever and interesting, and a dynamic that I'd love to see explored more often in media. Okay, real quick, let me paint you a word picture and explain how I would have liked to have seen Fairly Odd Parents go. After that 3-year hiatus, the special we come back to isn't poof, it's Timmy making his final wish, that he gets to remember Cosmo and Wanda. They go on this big grandiose adventure, but the bittersweet ending is that Timmy still has to give up his fairies. He doesn't want to forget them forever because he loves them and they were his second family when his family wasn't there. But now that he's become well-adjusted and a fairly decent young adult, teenager, tween, whatever you want to call him, he wants to just remember who they were. So he wishes that he remembers them. It's his final wish. And now he meets this new girl, sporting a green and pink backpack. He realizes what's going on and has to make contact with Chloe. Chloe is now the main character, and Timmy gets to be this rogue sage dispensing wisdom like they wanted him to be. This gives them full license to explore Chloe as a character. This way you can keep them being best friends because he knows Chloe's secret. He just doesn't have to be the one making wishes now. It offers a sense of growth that Timmy needs and that you want him to have, but keeps him in the magic loop. Shaking up a keystone by changing your main character gives you full license to change as much as you want in your story structure, at least, because the audience is in flux. Now you have full reign to move around everything from the structure to the format to the jokes before things settle down. And most of this writing staff, they could have done it. They could have updated it to a more modern sensibility, but they just didn't. A girl can dream. Look, I understand better than anyone that as an audience, we ultimately enjoy picking something apart when it's bad. I mean, I watch a lot of shit. Like a lot of shit. And most of it isn't great. It makes us feel good to pick and tear down something that can't really fight back. It's the schoolyard bully that sits in our hearts. We aren't hurting anyone by making fun of a painting. We're not really losing points by pointing out how appallingly bad and half-cocked that intro is. My God, did you literally have 5 minutes, or was it just... It's fine. I feel you. I really do. It's natural. I'm down. But I really do think the better part of being an informed audience is being able to see what it did as a whole, the good ideas and the bad. Pull a little bit of something out of it if you're going to be making fun of it so much. If you're just going to watch it to make fun of it, you're kind of being a dick. You have to be willing to give credit where credit is due. If you don't, if you just want to ignore what's working, that's a crucial part of being an informed audience. And if we want to do that, just be groundlings and throw rotten tomatoes because there weren't enough farts or sex jokes or explosions, I guess that's fine, but can't really expect much more from our artists then. It's much better to have a discussion about art when you only liked one aspect of the work, rather than just lament and bitch about the 17 things you didn't like, because you're gonna get a lot more out of building upon an idea for yourself and for the people around you, rather than just tearing something down. I don't know, I guess like with all things in life, it's important to strike a balance, I guess. I don't know. But seriously, Chloe's just so cute. Look at her, just what? Oh my god. What the fuck? Oh my, I was gonna say hug her, Jesus.
It's me. It's totally Chloe.
Thank you very much for sticking it out to the end of another video. It means the world to me. And a very special thank you to the patrons whom helped fund this video with their money and, I don't know, love? Call it love. If you want to become a patron, please feel free to click the link in the bottom. You can do all sorts of stuff. I will never have my shit behind a paywall, but I will say there's some cool shit that you can get access to if you become a patron, and we'll become closer friends and stuff. It'll be a great time. And don't forget to follow me on all social medias at Matchingties Network for updates and other things. And as always, remember the 3 rules. Don't be a dick, follow your bliss, and if you get caught, your first call is to your lawyer, not your mother. And I'll see you in 5 to 10.